Hey folks, walk with me. Well, I had a request or a suggestion maybe of profound healing sleep. And I first was like, what is profound healing sleep? So I looked it up and got a sense. And then I had some ideas of my own of sort of how I get into a state that I think sometimes morphs into, or at least teeters on the edge of, lucid dreaming. But then sometimes you can, in the midst of a lucid dream, or even in the absence of a lucid dream, just transitioning into typical non-lucid dream state, you can set yourself up for this sense of profound healing sleep. But I think it could work for either, or maybe even for both, like a lucid dream that provides this profound healing sleep, or a lucid dream that you just enjoy as a lucid dream, or a profound healing sleep with no lucid dreaming. So here's my two ways that I get into this, and then I'll do a little sort of like 2.1 tip at the end here. But the first thing is, typically when I close my eyes, I have, vast darkness, obviously, but I have darker and lighter spots within that darkness. And or oftentimes I will have sort of stars or sparkles in there. Now I find that if I choose something, right? Choose a sparkle, choose a spot, choose a lighter area, darker area, and focus intently on that in the mind's eye, right behind the closed eyes. That thing will then start sort of morphing and shifting and moving about, and I can kind of follow it. And it starts to sometimes change form. Sometimes it's just sort of like moving throughout the space. Sometimes it will expand or contract. And sometimes it will just sort of disappear altogether. If that happens, I often wait a few moments to see if it comes back. And if it doesn't, select another spot and carry on. And that can often just get me enough distance, enough sort of like in the void focus to drift off into something like a lucid dream, or having the concept going into the sleep period of, I want to heal this, I want to contemplate this, I want to discover more about this, right? This being whatever that is for you. I can't personalize it to what those things are to you. Now, the other thing that I'll do sometimes is set myself in a scene, right? So in this sort of situation, I close my eyes, I see myself in a space, and I choose the space. It could be a forest, it could be a town, it could be an old village, it could be a different time period. It could be the ocean sometimes, right? And I will sort of like wander around, get a sense of the surroundings, and then sooner than later, I will start to do something that I can't do in real life. So maybe I'm leaping to a skyscraper if I'm in an urban setting, or maybe I'm swimming with sea creatures and diving to the depths of the ocean without having any need to come up for air, and exploring like fantastical, whimsical things. Maybe if I'm sort of in a village or in a nature setting, I'll start flying, right? And letting myself sort of put that intention out there if I'm going to actively do this thing, but then I'm going to let come whatever comes. And again, this can often become very lucid very quickly, and then fade away, right, and just turn into sort of a regular dream. If I'm thinking about, I want my unconscious to speak to me about this, or I want to consider understanding more about why I do that, right? I get into those things as I'm wandering around whatever setting I'm in. So if I'm in a medieval village, right, I'm wandering around the medieval village and I'm thinking, I want to better understand why I have a hard time forming friendships, right? And I really want to understand that. And so I'm taking the moment of like taking in the space to vocalize that internally. And then I set off on the, supernatural or fantastical adventure that I go on that sort of draws me into the dream and the sleep state. And sometimes that uncovering comes and sometimes it doesn't. But it's repetition, right? It's working through it systematically and finding something that works for you. Now, one thing I would say, if you want to go this route of different shapes, different gradations of darkness, sparkles, that sort of thing, and you have either you don't normally have that when you close your eyes, or you try it and you just can't locate it. Lighting even just a tea light, right? Like a small candle by your bed. Do this safely. Lighting a candle and then just focusing on the flame for maybe like 1 to 3 minutes, something like that. Something that will draw you in enough, but that you won't linger on it for like an absurdly long period of time. And then blowing out the candle, extinguishing the candle, making sure that you can do it safely, and then relatively quickly close your eyes, right? So don't get up and go to the bathroom. Don't start turning on lights, doing other things. This needs to be, I extinguish it and I immediately am on my pillow with my eyes closed. You should then have something visually or post-visually, whatever we call that, internal visualization, that will allow you to follow, right? Maybe it's a wavering of the flame, maybe it's some resemblance of the hue of the flame, whatever it is, but it should give you something as you close your eyes that's there, at least initially. And so that would be the other thing that I think can be kind of cool. And even that just staring at the flame can be a little bit sort of mesmerizing, if you will, and maybe sort of get your brain waves or what have you into a space that's more attuned to drifting off, to sort of having these fantastical experiences, this sort of deep inner focus that is whimsical and discovering of the unconscious. So a few ideas there. I'd be interested to hear if you have any others that really work well for you, or if any of these happen to work for you if you give them a shot. But in any case, as always, I appreciate you watching, whether you walked with me or not, and I will see you in the next video.